So this is all about citizen sovereignty, digital sovereignty. This is very interesting because for that digital sovereignty to be able to exist, we have to tell the truth from the lies. We have to know how to build our societies. And also in terms of not just software and hardware. We'll be talking with Valeria about smartphones and how you can use smartphones for educational purposes. These two projects look different, but they have lots of things in common, like the youth, the audience, the young people. That is the foundation for this digital sovereignty to exist. If we want the youth to be able to ascertain what is true and what is not by using their smartphones so that they can be digital, so that they can build their digital skills, that would be fine. So let's get started. We'll be conducting it in English. We have many nationalities together in this project, in this international event, so we will use the lingua franca.
We're alive, both of you. And first of all, Irene, you are working right now in Newtral, and can you explain to the audience what is Newtral and what is neutral education?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Oscar, and thank you to Cibervoluntarios. So Newtral is a media startup. We are well known because of our fact-checking operations, but we also do, as a media producer, we produce content for TV and for platforms. And we also have a huge branch of artificial intelligence developments. We build our own tools for fact-checking purposes. We have claim detection, claim matching tools for doing fact-checking. And in the case of fact-checking, this is the main way we fight against disinformation. But from the beginning, we started working in 2018. We noticed that fact-checking was a good way to fight against disinformation, but it's not the only one. So we created Newtral Educación, which is our media literacy branch. And this is a way that helps us to promote critical thinking among people and provide tools to show how people can fight against viral hoaxes or fake news that they find online. And now we are working with Newtral Educación in several projects, international projects. One of them is Docheck, is the one I am going to present later. But it's very important for us because in the fact-checking part, we are divided in two sides. For one hand, we fact-check the political discourse. We listen what politicians say, and we try to determine if it's false or true. And on the other hand, on the fact-checking, we do debunk on viral hoaxes that are on social media. So this is a complementary part for us on media literacy.
Okay, continue with education. You are involved in smart lessons. What is a smart lesson?
Yes, Smart Lesson is a European project founded in the Erasmus Plus field program. And it was financed just a few months ago, at the beginning of March. So we are in the very early stage of the activities of this project. And this project involves 10 organization partners, in particular 5 secondary schools and 5 organizations that works in the educational fields. The origin of the Smart Lessons, in a brief, dates back to a few years ago when during the implementation of another European project that we implementing with Cibervoluntarios, we realized the importance of the use of the smartphone in classroom, in school, and in a no formal and formal educational environment. But at the same time, we faced that the teachers have some issues with these tools due to cultural resistance or due to a low level of digital competencies in using this tool, or a low awareness about the potential of the use of this tool. So to face these challenges, Smart Lessons project is aimed primarily to teachers of secondary schools with the objective to providing them a methodology which allow them to elaborate, to design new learning path on the use of the smartphone, providing them some guidelines or recommendation on how to best use smartphone in the management of the classroom and in the use of the smartphone, and allow teachers to assess the competencies of students in this learning process. And to do that, we will implementing, because we are at the very beginning, our idea is to implement two different tools. The first one is a smart lesson kit that contains a toolkit that contains a methodology to design very innovative learning scenarios during the classroom. And also the second one is a smart evaluation meter. This is a tool that can assess the competencies of students during this learning process.
Okay, perfect. At the same time, Valeria is in different European projects, but right now you told before, what is Docheck and what is for?
So Docheck is a partnership we do with Cibervoluntarios, Valeria, and 3 other partners, international partners, because we realized that maybe this information varies among each countries. There are different narratives in different countries, but we do know is that the bad actors normally target the same group of population. And in this case, we wanted to focus on young people. That is one of the most concerning for us, because they are very exposed to social media and therefore to disinformation online. So with this project, Docheck, that we have also started in a very short time ago, we aim to create materials and tools to provide media literacy and develop critical thinking among young people between 14 and 18 years. So in the first stage, we are trying to do focus group and develop a methodology to see what are the tools that works better for them to create this consciousness and this awareness about how to detect and how to combat and debunk this information they find in their TikTok account, in their Instagrams and all that. So in the focus groups we developed this year, we find very, very interesting conclusions. For example, we saw how for them, for young people, this information is a problem only when it targets themselves. For example, when something happened in their school, they are very worried. They try to put examples on, for example, this student said something false about this other student. This is the kind of disinformation who worries them. And this is something that we have to take into account when we try to provide tools and media literacy for them. Because sometimes we are working in the fight against disinformation and we are only focused on bear house, on conspiracy theories. But this is something that they may not be very worried about. And we have to do something more closer to them to get them involved. So, for example, we are going to explore if, for example, gamification is a good solution for them. It's a good way to provide tools to make them more aware and to fight, to contribute to this fight. Another insight I wanted to tell is that sometimes they have the thinking that they are the ones in the family who are debunking the hoaxes in the familiar chat.
That's it.
And sometimes we think that the parents are having this role, but they think the opposite. So these are the things that we have discovered and we have to take into account to develop the material.
Okay, Valeria, I know that it's not a problem for the students to have the mobile phone and the classroom, but my sister is a teacher in a high school, and what is the first reaction of the teachers when you said that you are going to put mobile phones in the classroom for good, but how do they see it?
Yes, so the very few researches on the use of the smartphone in the classroom show that the teachers simply integrate the smartphone in a traditional lesson without activating a very digital and methodological approach. But teachers also, at the same time, are aware of the potential of these tools. Even if this can be a source of distraction, of course, among young people, even if they are afraid that this tool can be, even if they are afraid if young people will be more focused on the smartphone than the lesson, they still believe that this can be a very useful tool to improve their competencies and to fight also disinformation by developing their competencies. Because one main point of this project is to focus on the development of the competencies, in particular the 8 key competencies of the lifelong learning that are literacy, multilingualism, or cultural awareness, digital thinking, and so on. So these are the competences that allow young people to develop their personality, so allow them the employability or their social inclusion. So they are aware that this is a real and innovative tool that can be used in this environment.
Then is receiving good for the teachers?
Yes.
Ah, that's very good. I have to talk with my sister. Then, I want to ask you, in this kind of projects like Docheck, this European project, how does this misinformation or disinformation affect in the different countries? Is all the same in all the countries, or did you see some difference between?
We have seen some differences because in the focus group we did in the 6 countries we are participating in the same project. We found different insights, but we join in the idea that it's important to teach different materials for young students, for parents, for teachers, because we have found everywhere that there is a need to learn more about how to combat disinformation. There might be some different interests depending on the country, on what narratives are developed or what disinformation is provided, because it answers to different interests. But we have the same goal in all the countries to provide the materials for this group specifically, for young students. But I wanted to tell, for example, in Spain, last week we had a case in which we saw how 11-year-old girls were targeted by a campaign of disinformation by their own colleagues in the school. They produced deep fakes of the girls naked, and this is a way, in a way that parents and students are getting more aware about problems that happen online but has real consequences on the real life. And it's affecting people more and more, and especially young at very early age. So this is one of the things we want to target with this kind of materials, to teach that this is something very problematic and how they can defend and combat it.
10 minutos.
Jorge is coming. This question could be from my sister, but I am going to do to you. Can smartphones in the class be a risk for the personal relationship in the classroom, or not?
Yes. In our opinion, if the people, teachers, use in a smart way, in a very conscious way, they can be very useful to develop a relationship among young people, among the students, and also among students and teachers. For example, teachers can use some apps to improve the capacity of young people to discuss together by making some virtual groups, or can use some apps to enhance their potential of to discuss together and to cooperative learning together. So yes, I think that if the key point is the balance of the. You have to take the advantage of the benefits of the use of the smartphones, but take also into consideration also critical point of the smartphone. So the key point is to use these tools in a very conscious and very smart way.
Okay, then the most important thing here is very good training for the teachers.
Yes, yes, because we remind you that the smart lesson is addressed to teachers of the secondary school, so they are the main targets. So.
Okay, perfect. Irene, how? Okay, let's do whatever you want. ¿Alguien quiere preguntar algo?
Questions from the audience? Joyce.
Much, both of you, for a very interesting presentation. I had a question. I mean, we see quite a few schools now where they actually stop the use of personal devices,
yes,
phones mostly. It doesn't mean that they will do away with all the digital teaching, but to actually, for teachers and kids, to actually block the use of personal phones. How does that impact what you are working on?
Yes, it's funny because at the beginning when we were thinking to this project, ironically, we realized that in Italy and in some other European countries involved in our project, is banned the use of the smartphone in their personal smartphone in classroom. But however, we realized that in fact, indeed, in Italy, it's possible to use this kind of tools, some personal devices, according with the teachers and according with the regulation of the schools, if they have an educational and training purpose. So in Italy is forbidden, but in this way we can use. So we have the permission of the teachers that are involved in our project. So maybe we can develop these activities with them without problem, I think.
¿Alguna pregunta más? Sí, adelante.
¿Me permitís preguntar en español?
May I ask in Spanish, also in Catalan, Basque, and Galician? Well, I loved the two projects and the two realities that you're working in. I work in groups with the elderly through Cibervoluntarios. You've talked about the youth, but what about the elderly? Because they might face the same risks in terms of misinformation and disinformation. When the elderly start using a smartphone, they can be more vulnerable than the youth to the negative consequences of the disinformation. Because I am a digital, well, I see myself as a person who is very literate in digital competencies. I use Newtral a lot, the fact-checking aspect of Newtral. But what about the elderly? Old people or people of certain age won't use that tool. Valeria, I am a sociologist too, so I feel very related to what you said. But you have less hair than Valeria, right? Yeah. Yeah, sociologist, but with less hair. Yeah, it was supposed to be a joke. My question anyway is, when you start using smart lessons in schools and high schools, you train the teachers, but what about the elderly? We cannot reach them through schools or high schools. How would you try to reach the elderly and do a similar project just focused on the elderly?
Get to all the people that are not found in the schools with smart lessons, because...
Okay, you can answer and after Irene.
Yes, we didn't think about older people or other target group out of the teachers. because when we think of this kind of project, we speak a lot with teachers, with educators, and with trainers that are among young people. So this target is not, we are not taking consideration this target, but could be an idea for maybe another European project on this topic.
Okay, and Irene, you can...
Voy a contestar en español.
¿En español? Bueno. Sí, sí, contesta en español si quieres.
Sí, para nosotros, uno de los públicos también importantes.
For us, of course, the elderly is one of the target audiences because, of course, as you say, they are very vulnerable to this misinformation and to fall for the viral hoaxes. So we designed a course for the elderly. It is WhatsApp-based, and they can follow the lessons on WhatsApp. We also have a WhatsApp channel, and it's open for questions. And we actively monitor all our channels in Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc. But we have a dedicated channel in WhatsApp. We get direct questions from them, and we use it as a tool to understand or to measure the amount and the extent of the misinformation that is on the net. For example, a viral hoax, they can make questions and we answer with fact-checking. I would also like to say that you're using an app based on artificial intelligence, and you were talking about the specific case of the 11-year-old girls that were subject to that prank in which artificial intelligence was used to make them appear nude on the internet. But what tools do we have as parents? Maybe other European projects or neutral capabilities. What do you have? What kind of tools do you have, or can you recommend for those serious events? Well, artificial intelligence, and especially generative artificial intelligence, is super important. Of course, it doesn't come without risks, not just for teenagers or kids, also the bad actors that use it to generate disinformation in a cheaper and cheaper way. In the past, misinformation and hoaxes were very easily detectable. That is not true anymore, because manipulations are so good and so close to reality that they are very hard to detect. We believe education is a very important weapon for parents and for children. They need to understand the consequences of pranks. Many of the hoaxes that we receive were initially designed as pranks, but sometimes people do not realize that that can be risky and dangerous. Sometimes people ask us, why did you bother fact-checking that obvious lie? Well, some people might not see it as obvious as you do. So we have to fact-check everything. We don't know what can become a serious problem. Can you make the last question? I am the Holy Spirit, so I have to close the session.
A little bit, yes.
A little bit better.
I entiendo Spanish, but I cannot speak Spanish. So.
Yes, okay. But you don't have the machine. You told me before.
No, okay.
The machine for
the pasta, yes.
For the pasta,
yes.
Valeria made with his own hands,
yes.
Okay?
In a traditional way.
Valeria is the machine right now.
Yes.
Okay. I like a journalist, I see things that you are going not to believe, and I like to ask Irene to finish, what is the strangest thing that you found in disinformation or misinformation that you said that's impossible? It's impossible that anyone can believe this.
There is a huge list about it.
Just in a short, because it's Jorge over there.
Yeah, I know. But maybe one of the ones that shocked me the most, apart of the conspiracy theories and all that, Like 2 years ago, we had a huge storm of snow in Madrid,
Filomena.
Really?
and there were people sending videos that said that the snow was not real, that it was plastic. And to
Really?
prove it,
I remember.
To prove it, they put a lighter and they burned, and it didn't melt. But there is a scientific explanation for that.
For that too,
of course.
okay.
This wasn't plastic, please. Don't say that. But this was one of the worst things that I have found, among many others.
Okay. We had to fight this disinformation and this misinformation, everything, because I think it's important for our society. And it's important too to put the mobile phones in the good way in the schools. Thanks a lot, Valeria. Thanks a lot, Irene. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sieber.